Well, good evening, my friends, and welcome to our Maundy Thursday service on this holy night during a holy week, as we live the difficult story together of the betrayal, arrest, and ultimately the crucifixion of the one whose way we follow, the one who manifested a God consciousness that led so many to lay the bold claim at his feet that he was indeed the Son of God, come into the world to make things right, to turn things from upside down to right side up, and challenge the way of injustice and violence with a vision of compassion and peace. Tonight we continue the journey that we began last Sunday on Palm Sunday, when we heard the story of Jesus' triumphal march into Jerusalem and his challenge to the religious and secular ways of being in his time, especially the challenge to the power and the might and the violence of Rome, the Pax Romana. It is my hope that this service tonight, though it may still seem more difficult to walk in this another year of isolation and separation, I hope it can be meaningful for you and can still be a time of introspection, a time to remember the fragility of life and the hard times, but with an eye always looking forward to what we trust is coming on Easter morning. The claim that the powers of this world can try to kill God's love, but they cannot keep it dead and buried, as William Sloane Coffin so beautifully says. So on Palm Sunday, we concluded our service, if you happened to catch it, by leaving Jesus in the garden. He was praying. So tonight we will relive the story of Jesus' last night, beginning again symbolically in the garden, where Jesus prayed and asked the disciples then, and still asks us today, to stay awake, to watch, to pray with him in the midst of fear, both his and our own, as we live this night amidst the backdrop of the uncertainty that we are living through in our own times. Our story will then continue to a time of communion together here in what we'll call the upper room, our virtual upper room, as a reminder of that final meal that Jesus shared with his followers. That's one of the central tenets of this night. We will then journey into the rest of the story of Maundy Thursday, leaving tonight with only the Christ candle still barely burning into Jesus' final hours in this dark night of the soul. That candle will then be extinguished tomorrow on Good Friday, as the church will be open from noon to 3. If you are interested in stopping by for some Good Friday prayer or silent prayer or meditation or just centering, the garden is available as well. The Christ candle will be quietly blown out during that time in remembrance of Jesus' death on the cross. We will then pick up the story on Easter morning. Hope you can join us on Sunday morning right here online, live on both Facebook and YouTube. However you are able to join in the coming days, however often, I wish you a peaceful Good Friday and a joyous and celebratory Easter. And just one quick note for tonight, please, for worship this night, gather some elements that you can that can stand for you as communion. Whatever they are, it doesn't matter. The fact that we're together here is what's important. And go ahead and light a candle to signify the life of Jesus as he undergoes this most difficult journey. We'll enjoy a time of communion together in just a little bit. Now to begin our journey into this Maundy Thursday evening, I invite you just to close your eyes. Take a few deep centering breaths. Imagine you are there. Imagine you're there in the garden. You're enjoying a moment of stillness amidst the trees blowing. You're feeling the cool of the evening's breeze blow upon you, rustling in the branches overhead. Imagine you are there. Imagine you're there with Jesus. What would you see? What would that night feel like? What would that night, as told to us in the scriptures, be like for you? Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took with him Peter and James and John and began to be distressed and agitated. And he said to them, "I am deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and keep awake." And going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and he prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. He said, "Abba, Father, for you all things are possible. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I want, but what you want." How are you feeling as you observe this scene in the garden? How do you feel as you watch Jesus struggle with the anxiety born of the challenge to the world that he's just broken open in his life lived? This will be a challenging night, but we must hear this story anew, because the challenge Jesus brought to bear on the world needs to be heard again and again and again. We have to live this story, lest we forget. This is a holy night. I'm glad you're here. Will you join me in a moment of prayer? Abba, Abun, as Jesus called the essence of the life force that pulsed through the cosmos, as we remember Jesus' Last Supper, his betrayal, his arrest and crucifixion this night, we are mindful that with you all things are possible. Yet like Peter and James and John, we often, we just can't stay awake. We don't pay attention, oh God, to what you have called us to do. We don't pay attention to all the miraculous things you have made us a part of in this world. And all too often, we are only concerned with what we want individually, and we aren't concerned with the needs of others or with what you want from us. So help us recenter this night and help us to stay awake, to pay attention. Help us to be like Jesus, who came to serve and not to be served. Help us to be like Jesus, who would have liked to have sidestepped the death that was facing him, yet he looked not on his own interests, but to the interests of others. Help us to be like Jesus, who stood up to the principalities and powers of this world to show the kind of love that you, O God, have for the world. Remind us, as Jesus knew, that there is nothing that this world can do to us that you can't overcome by your peace and your presence. Grant that we, like Jesus, will not seek our own wills, but that your will, O God of love, and compassion, and justice, be done in our lives and in this world as it is in your realm. Amen. Let us journey, my friends, ever deeper into this time of worship with a beautiful video and song called "Into the Woods Jesus Went," and then we'll regroup in the upper room for a time of communion together.
Into the woods my master went, clean for spent, Into the woods my master came, for spent with love and pain. But the olives, they were not kind to him. The little gray leaves were kind to him. The thorn tree had a mind to him. 'tis midnight and in sorrow the Savior weeps alone. Yet he that hath in anguish knelt is not forsaken by God. 'Tis midnight and from heavenly plains is born the song that angels know, unheard by mortals, are the strains that soothe the Savior's woe. Out of the woods my master went, and he was well content. Out of the woods my master came, content with death and pain. When pain and death would woo him last, from under the trees they drew him last. 'Twas on a tree they slew him last. When out of the woods he came.
I invite you now to go ahead and gather, if you have not had a chance to, your communion elements, and whatever they may be. Again, coffee and tea and wine and bread, whatever it is, donuts and bagels and all that good stuff, whatever you have. It's all good here tonight. Tonight we shatter the boundaries placed on us by walls and physical distance, and journey ever deeper into the spiritual realm when it comes to communing together. Remember, Paul reminds us that it is indeed in God that we live and move and that we share our being together. Those are the key words, together. To me, that means that communion can be shared from anywhere, among anyone, at any time. And I think that's pretty cool. This is one such time, important time, as we remember that ancient and final meal that Jesus ate with his friends and followers. You join me in this opening litany. This is an evening to remember. Remember the Passover Jesus shared with his disciples. Remember the new covenant of broken bread and cup. Remember this night praying while others slept. Remember the arrest and trial, the betrayal and denial. Remember his loneliness. This we do in remembrance of Jesus. This we remember, and it changes what we do. We're faithful to this story. We do not let it pass. Continue our time of communion with a reading. Kind of let these readings from Matthew guide us. When it was evening, he took his place with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." They became greatly distressed and began to say to him one after another, "Surely not I, Lord." He answered, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him. But woe to that one by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that one not to have been born. Judas, who betrayed him, said, "Surely not I, Rabbi," he replied. "You have said so." And while they were eating, Jesus took a loaf of bread, and after blessing it, he broke it. And he gave it to his disciples, and he said, "Take and eat. This is my body. Whenever you eat of this bread, remember me." So let's go ahead now and enjoy that moment of bread together, or whatever element it is that you brought to this communion dinner. And then Jesus took a cup. He took a cup, and after giving thanks, he gave it to them. And he said, "Drink this, all of you. This is the cup of a new covenant. Whenever you drink of this cup, do so remembering me." So let's enjoy the cup of promise with whatever it is, whatever element stands for you as that cup this night. Will you join me in another moment of centering and prayer before we journey into our story ever deeper? O God, who dwells closer to us than the beat of our own hearts, we gather this evening, this hour, as friends gathered with Jesus in an upper room so long ago. We come bearing the marks of an angry and a broken world. Yet we come with thirsty and hungry spirits looking for renewal. Remind us in the breaking of bread with one another of our need for powers that go beyond ourselves, that self-sufficiency is not the final answer, that togetherness is how you, O God, dream the world into being. Remind us in the pouring of the cup of life and promise that we are called to share with the world, and that a life well lived is a life shared with others in togetherness. Draw us ever nearer to one another in mutual service and closer to you, that we can truly begin to see you as the ground, the essence of our very being. Be with us in all times of difficulty, especially with those who are struggling with challenges in health and well-being this night. Be with those who are grieving, and those working so hard to turn the world right side up. Be with them as well, so the powers of oppression and domination take life no more. Thinking of Minneapolis, especially, and family of George Floyd. Be with those who are busy finding ways, O God, to make peace and stem the curb of violence that ravages so much around us. Blessed be the peacemakers Jesus said long ago. Blessed be all who work to shine your light into the darkest of nights like this one and places. I wonder now if you'll join me in the Lord's Prayer, my friends, and please choose the image that you're most comfortable with, whether it be Creator or Mother or Father. They're all fine. They're all good. Our Creator, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, now and forever. Amen. Well, hey, let's now center ourselves and journey into the story, a little deeper into the story yet again on this holy night. It is, after all, the story that will change the world forever. So turn your lights down, if you can. Light a candle. Symbolize the Christ in your midst, in your presence. Close your eyes if you'd like. Imagine and just be moved. Then Jesus said to them, "You will all become deserters because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I am raised up, I will go ahead of you to Galilee." Peter said to him, though all become deserters because of you, I will never desert you." Jesus said to him, "Truly I tell you, this very night, before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. Peter said to him, "Even though I must die with you, I will not deny you." And so said all of the disciples. The hour is at hand. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. While he was speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived, and with him was a large crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, the one I will kiss. Well, he's the man. Arrest him. And at once he came up to Jesus and he said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and he kissed him. And Jesus said to him, "Friend, do what you are here to do." Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and they arrested him. Suddenly one of those with Jesus put his hand on his sword and he drew it and he struck the slave of the high priest, cutting off his ear. And Jesus said to him, "Put your sword back into its place, for all who take up the sword will perish by the sword." At that hour Jesus said to the crowds, "Have you not come out with swords and clubs to arrest me as though I were a bandit? Day after day I sat in the temple teaching, and you did not arrest me. But all this has taken place, so the scriptures of the prophets may be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, that Christ should humbly face to bear the heavy cross for my soul, to bear the heavy cross for my soul.
And then they seized him and they led him away, bringing him into the high priest's house. But Peter was following at a distance. When they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter went and sat among them. And then a servant girl, seeing him in the firelight, stared at him and said, "This man also was with him." But he denied it, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." A little later, someone else on seeing him said, "Hey, you also are one of them." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." And about an hour later, yet another kept insisting, "Surely this man, he was also with him, for he is a Galilean." But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." At that moment, while he was still speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord, who had said to him, "Before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times." And Peter went out, and he wept bitterly. Then Pilate entered the headquarters again, and he summoned Jesus. They asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I'm not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests handed you over to me. Well, what have you done?" And Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So you're a king?" And Jesus answered, "You say that I'm a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Pilate asked him, "What is truth?" After he had said this, he went out and told them, "I find no case against him."
To God and to the Lamb I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am, while millions join the theme, I will sing, while millions join the theme, I will sing.
Now at the festival, they used to release a prisoner for them, anyone for whom they asked. Now a man called Barabbas was in prison with the rebels who had committed murder during the insurrection. So the crowd came and began to ask Pilate to do for them according to their custom, to his custom. And he answered them, "Do you want me to release for you this Jesus, the King of the Jews?" For he realized that it was out of jealousy that the chief priests had handed him over. But the chief priests stirred up that crowd again to have him release Barabbas for them instead. Pilate spoke to them again. "Well, then what do you wish me to do with the man you call the King of the Jews?" They shouted back, "Crucify him." Pilate asked them, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted, "All the more, crucify him." So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, he released Barabbas for them. And after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified. Then the soldiers led him into the courtyard of the palace. And they called together the whole cohort. They clothed him in a purple cloak. After twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on him. And they began saluting him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" They struck his head with a reed. They spat upon him and knelt down in homage to him. After mocking him, they stripped him of the purple cloak and put his own clothes on him. And then they led him out to crucify him. wonder if you'll join me in just a moment of silent prayer, a little deeper centering in the story. Let's make a moment of stillness together. O Christ, suffering servant, challenger of unjust powers and reconciler of life, we would learn from you the power of trust and faith in God this night. And so often your ways seem just too hard for us. We fall asleep when we should be praying. We run away when we should be staying. We deny you when we should be embracing you. Help us to see what you see, and to know what you know. Help us to understand the love of God so that we can trust in what we perceive as the will of God, compassion and peace and justice. We hear you say, "O God, if it may be, let this cup pass from me." We hear these words, but we do not understand, and our eyelids draw heavy with sleep. Forgive us, O Christ. Empower us and help us to watch with you this night, this dark night. Open our eyes so that we may glimpse the reality of God's kingdom among us. Strengthen our wills so that in love we may work to make it more visible. We struggle, but you can make us strong. Send your Spirit and hear our prayer, which we pray in your name. Amen. My friends, let's join our voices in a beautiful song that, even though we won't sing it tomorrow on Good Friday, we're going to sing it tonight. It's called "Were You There?" We'll do all 4 verses as a testament to where we are this night, in a night of pain and sadness, where we will be tomorrow in a day of death, and also where we will be on Sunday, in a day of joy and celebration. This song has it all.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
This night is our calling to go out into the world, scattered to the ends of the earth, to love as Christ loved and serve in the name of Christ. It is our calling to remember, even in our darkest hours, who we are. We remember that Christ is always with us. And we remember that on this night, we were taught how to love. On this night, the fullness of God's reign begins to spill into our lives. So go into the world to give yourselves for others in the name of Jesus. Go into the world and love in the name of the one who loved until the very end. It all begins and ends and begins again, my friends, with love. That is the story. I wish you a peaceful Maundy, Thursday, a blessed Good Friday, and a joyous Easter. Go in peace when you are ready.